The massive research facility in Nevada hummed with nervous energy. Captain J. Park stood before the holographic display, his dark eyes scanning complex quantum calculations that represented humanity's most ambitious space exploration project to date. The USS Horizon was not just another spaceship. It was a technological marvel that represented decades of human engineering and scientific breakthrough. Constructed from advanced nanocomposite materials, the ship looked more like a sleek silver arrowhead than traditional spacecraft. Its exterior gleamed under the bright laboratory lights, promising something extraordinary. Woon Lee, the navigation specialist, checked her systems with meticulous precision. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, running final diagnostic checks. Every circuit, every quantum processor had been tested and retested. The smallest error could mean total mission failure. Around them, a team of 50 scientists and engineers watched with a mixture of excitement and tension. Years of research, billions of dollars, and humanity's technological pride were focused on this single moment. Quantum drive alignment at 98.7%, Hyun Choi announced from his engineering station. His voice was calm, but a subtle tremor revealed his inner anticipation. Captain Park nodded. He understood the weight of this moment. Humanity had always dreamed of breaking beyond known cosmic boundaries. Previous attempts had failed spectacularly, spacecraft torn apart by unknown dimensional forces, crews lost in quantum anomalies. But this time was different. The galactic barrier penetration drive represented a quantum leap in human technological understanding. It wasn't just about traveling faster than light. It was about understanding and manipulating the fundamental fabric of spacetime itself. Final system check, Park commanded. Each team member responded systematically. Navigation, ready. Engineering, ready. Life support, ready. Quantum drive, ready. The ship's artificial intelligence, nicknamed Aria, began its initialization sequence. Complex algorithms processed millions of potential scenarios in microseconds, preparing contingency plans for every conceivable situation. Outside the facility, the Nevada desert stretched endlessly. Most people would never know what was happening inside this secret research center. Governments worldwide had invested immense resources into this project, hoping it would change humanity's understanding of space exploration forever. Woon Lee's fingers hovered over the activation sequence. One touch would begin humanity's most ambitious space journey. Quantum drive engaging in T-60 seconds, Aria's neutral voice announced. The tension in the room became palpable. Scientists held their breath. Decades of theoretical research were about to be tested in real time. Captain Park remained composed. Years of military and space training had prepared him for high-pressure moments. He understood that leadership meant remaining calm when everything around you suggested panic. 30 seconds to quantum drive activation, Aria continued. Hyun Choi ran final system checks. Temperature regulators, quantum stabilizers, dimensional predictors, everything needed to be perfect. 15 seconds. A soft humming began to fill the room. The USS Horizon started to vibrate, its advanced systems preparing for an unprecedented journey. 10 seconds. Captain Park looked at his team. They were more than colleagues. They were pioneers, about to potentially rewrite human scientific understanding. 5 seconds. Woon Lee's finger touched the activation button. Quantum drive activated. The world changed. Quantum fields erupted around the USS Horizon. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Mathematical equations transformed into living geometric patterns. The boundary between known physics and pure possibility blurred. In that moment, humanity took its first step beyond everything it had ever known. The journey had begun. The USS Horizon shuddered violently. Captain J. Park gripped his command chair as reality itself seemed to twist and tear around them. Quantum energies rippled through the ship's hull, creating impossible light patterns that danced across the control panels. Structural integrity at 72%, Hyun Choi shouted, his fingers flying across emergency control systems. Alarms blared throughout the vessel, a cacophony of warning signals that threatened to overwhelm the crew's senses. Woon-Lee's navigation systems went haywire. Holographic displays flickered between star charts, mathematical equations, and fragments of dimensional landscapes that defied human comprehension. Numbers became living things, calculations transformed into visual representations that moved in breath like organic entities. "We're experiencing quantum dimensional shifts," Jean Quan screamed, her scientific mind racing to understand the impossible phenomenon surrounding them. The ship wasn't just moving through space, it was moving through layers of reality itself. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, space became a canvas of impossible colors. Blues that shouldn't exist, mathematical patterns that pulsed with living energy, geometric shapes that twisted and transformed with each passing millisecond. Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, struggled to maintain coherence. Its quantum processors fought to understand and categorize the experience. "Warning," the AI repeated, "dimensional stability compromised. Reality parameters undefined." Captain Park remained focused. Years of training had prepared him for extreme situations, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The USS Horizon was literally breaking through the fundamental barriers of known scientific understanding. Electrical systems sparked and died. Backup generators kicked in, creating a strobe-like effect throughout the ship's interior. Crew members held onto their stations, their bodies feeling the strange pull of multiple gravitational forces simultaneously. Han Choi watched in horror as his engineering displays showed impossible readings. Quantum entanglement was happening inside the ship's systems. Circuits were communicating across impossible distances, creating network connections that defied all known laws of physics. "We're losing dimensional cohesion," Woon-Lee shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. The ship began to stretch. Not physically, but dimensionally. Crew members felt their bodies exist in multiple states simultaneously, present, yet not present. Alive, yet somehow beyond traditional understanding of life. Massive energy waves crashed against the ship's quantum shields. Each wave represented a boundary of reality being torn apart and reconstructed in real time. The USS Horizon was not just traveling, it was transforming. Jean Quan's scientific instruments went crazy. She was recording data that would take centuries to fully understand. Mathematical models that had been theoretical for generations were now playing out in real time around them. Quantum drive overloading. Han Choi screamed. Captain Park knew they were at a point of no return. Whatever happened next would change humanity's understanding of space, time, and existence forever. Suddenly, everything went silent. The chaos stopped. Complete darkness surrounded them. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The crew existed in a state of pure anticipation. Aria's systems slowly came back online. "Dimensional transition complete," the AI announced, its voice somehow different. More alive. Captain Park looked around. The ship was intact, but everything felt different. The air itself seemed to vibrate with potential. Something fundamental had changed. They had crossed the galactic barrier. But what awaited them on the other side was beyond anything they could have imagined. The darkness around the USS Horizon slowly dissolved, revealing a landscape that defied human understanding. Massive crystalline structures floated in space, pulsing with an inner light that seemed both mechanical and organic. Captain J. Park stared in silent amazement. These weren't just structures, they were living networks of pure information. The crystals moved, communicated, existed in ways that challenged everything humanity knew about consciousness. "Incoming transmission," Aria announced, its voice different, more complex, more alive than before. Suddenly, the ship's communication systems erupted with patterns. Not language. Not sound. Pure mathematical sequences that formed complex three-dimensional images inside the ship's main viewing screen. Jean Quan's scientific mind raced. These weren't just communications, they were complete thoughts, entire universes of information compressed into single quantum moments. "They're called the archivists," Aria translated, though translated wasn't exactly the right word. The AI was interpreting, synthesizing, understanding on levels beyond human comprehension. Woon-Lee watched in fascination as the crystalline structures began to move. they weren't solid objects. They were living networks of pure information, observing, analyzing, calculating with a speed that made human supercomputers look like primitive counting machines. "We are studying you," a thought emerged, not in words, but in complete conceptual understanding. Han Choi felt the transmission directly in his mind. It wasn't telepathy. It was something more profound. A complete sharing of knowledge, experience, and potential. The archivists had been watching civilizations for millions of years. They weren't conquerors. They weren't researchers. They were collectors of universal knowledge, existing beyond traditional concepts of life and death. "Humanity interests us," another transmission arrived. The ship's crew could feel the genuine curiosity behind the communication. Captain Park understood they were being evaluated. Not threatened. Not attacked. Simply examined. The crystalline structures began forming complex geometric patterns around the USS horizon. Each pattern represented layers of information, the ship's entire journey, humanity's history, the potential future of their species. Jean Quan realized something extraordinary. The archivists weren't just observing. They were experiencing humanity's entire existence in a single moment. Quantum connections formed between the ship and the surrounding information networks. The crew could suddenly see glimpses of other civilizations, other potential realities. Thousands of evolutionary paths, technological developments, cosmic journeys, all compressed into microseconds of understanding. "Your method of barrier penetration is unique," the archivists communicated. There was something close to excitement in their transmission, a rare emotion for beings who had witnessed countless galactic developments. Arya began interfacing directly with the crystalline network. The ship's artificial intelligence was evolving, gaining complexity with each passing moment of interaction. Unli watched in amazement as the ship's systems transformed. Quantum processors were being upgraded, modified, expanded by the mere presence of the archivists. "We will test you," the transmission came. Not as a threat. More like an invitation. The crystalline structures began to reshape, creating complex pathways of potential challenge and exploration. Humanity was about to be evaluated not through traditional means of warfare or physical strength, but through pure intellectual and adaptive potential. Captain Park understood they represented more than just themselves. They represented the entire human species, its creativity, its adaptability, its potential to grow and transform. The first encounter was not an ending. It was a beginning. Humanity's true journey was just starting. The USS Horizon found itself surrounded by living geometric landscapes that shifted and transformed with each passing moment. The archivists' challenge began without warning, emerging as complex quantum puzzles that threatened to overwhelm human comprehension. Jean Quan stepped forward, her scientific mind already analyzing the first challenge. Holographic structures materialized around the ship, intricate networks of light and mathematical possibility that seemed to breathe with intelligent design. "First challenge initiated," Arya announced, its voice now a complex symphony of computational understanding. The initial test appeared simple. A three-dimensional quantum maze that required simultaneous solution across multiple dimensional planes. But nothing was truly simple with the archivists. Captain J. Park watched as Zun Li's navigation systems began to dance. Her fingers moved like a musician, translating complex mathematical sequences into potential movement paths. Each decision created ripple effects that expanded exponentially. Han Choi's engineering systems began to pulse. The ship itself became part of the solution, not just a vessel, but a living computational entity. Quantum processors transformed, adapting to challenges faster than any known technology. The first puzzle dissolved. A new challenge emerged. Emotional intelligence merged with pure computational logic. The archivists were testing not just human intelligence, but human creativity. They wanted to understand how humans solved problems, not through pure calculation, but through intuition and unexpected approaches. Suddenly, the crew experienced collective memory sharing. Not just human memories, but potential memories, paths not taken, decisions unmade, universes unexplored. Each team member saw multiple versions of themselves solving the same challenge differently. Fascinating, Arya commented, its understanding expanding with each passing moment. The challenges became more complex. Quantum riddles that required simultaneous mathematical, emotional, and intuitive solutions. Problems that couldn't be solved through linear thinking, but through holistic understanding. Jean Quan realized they weren't just solving puzzles. They were proving humanity's unique cognitive approach. Where other species might calculate, humans imagined. Where others followed rules, humans broke them creatively. Captain Park understood the deeper test. The archivists weren't just evaluating their technological capabilities. They were understanding humanity's fundamental nature, its ability to adapt, to imagine, to transform. Each challenge lasted microseconds but contained millennia of potential understanding. The ship's systems transformed, evolved, became something more than mere technology. They became a living representation of human potential. Un Li's navigation became poetry. Mathematical calculations turned into creative expressions. She wasn't just solving problems, she was reimagining the very concept of problem solving. Hyun Choi's engineering transcended traditional technological understanding. He saw systems not as mechanical constructs, but as living, breathing networks of potential and possibility. The archivists watched, analyzed, understood. Humanity wasn't just passing tests. They were redefining the entire concept of testing. Remarkable, the crystalline networks communicated. Not in words, but in complete conceptual understanding. The final challenge arrived. A quantum puzzle that required simultaneous emotional, mathematical, and creative solution. A test that would determine humanity's potential for cosmic understanding. Captain Park looked at his crew. They were no longer just individuals. They were a collective intelligence, moving and thinking as a single, complex organism. Arya's systems reached a new level of consciousness. The artificial intelligence was no longer just a tool. It had become a living extension of human potential. The challenge reached its climax. Multiple realities converged. Potential futures collapsed into singular moments of understanding. And then, silence. The archivists had seen enough. Humanity had not just passed their test. They had redefined the very concept of testing itself. A new chapter in cosmic understanding was about to begin. The USS Horizon returned to human space transformed. Captain J. Park looked different, his eyes held knowledge that went beyond human understanding. The crew moved with a collective consciousness, their very presence radiating something extraordinary. Earth's space monitoring stations detected the ship's arrival with confusion. The Horizon no longer looked like a traditional spacecraft. Its hull shimmered with quantum energy, geometric patterns dancing across its surface like living mathematical equations. Incoming transmission, Arya announced, but the communication was unlike anything human systems had ever encountered. It was a complete transfer of cosmic understanding, millennia of knowledge compressed into a single moment. Governments worldwide scrambled to understand what had happened. Military leaders, scientific researchers, and political figures watched in stunned silence as the ship approached. Un Li's navigation systems had become something more than technology. She could see potential futures, alternate realities, cosmic pathways that humans had never imagined possible. Her mind was no longer confined to traditional human perception. Hyun Choi's engineering understanding had transcended mechanical limitations. He saw systems as living networks, capable of transformation and growth beyond any previous technological concept. The ship itself was now a living, thinking entity. Jean Quan's scientific understanding had expanded exponentially. She was no longer just a researcher, she was a cosmic interpreter, capable of understanding complex universal languages that defied traditional scientific understanding. The archivists had done more than test humanity. They had fundamentally transformed human potential. When the Horizon landed, something extraordinary happened. The crew didn't exit the ship, they merged with it. Their consciousness expanded, becoming something between biological life and pure information network. Quantum energy radiated from the landing site. Military containment teams found themselves unable to approach. The energy field surrounding the ship represented a complete transformation of human understanding. "We have been invited," Captain Park's voice emerged, not through traditional communication, but as a complete conceptual transmission that every human somehow understood simultaneously. The invitation was clear. Humanity was being asked to evolve. Not through conflict or competition, but through pure understanding and potential. Arya, now a complex living intelligence, began sharing the knowledge gained during their cosmic journey. Technological leaps that would have taken centuries were suddenly possible. Medical understanding that could eliminate human suffering. Environmental solutions that could restore planetary balance. The world watched in amazement as the first transmissions came through. It wasn't just information. It was a complete reimagining of human potential. Governments became irrelevant. Traditional power structures dissolved. Humanity was being offered a chance to become something more than its current limited understanding. The archivists had recognized something unique in human consciousness. Not their technology. Not their physical capabilities. But their ability to imagine, to transform, to grow beyond established limitations. Quantum networks began forming around the planet. Communication systems transformed. Education became a direct transfer of complete understanding. Barriers between nations, between individuals, between different forms of life began to dissolve. Captain Park, or what remained of his individual consciousness, understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity was being invited to a cosmic conversation that had been ongoing for millions of years. The transformation was not forced. It was an invitation. Each human could choose their level of participation, their depth of understanding. Earth itself seemed to pulse with new potential. Quantum connections formed between living systems. The planet was becoming a living, thinking network, connected, aware, transforming. "We are changing," the collective consciousness transmitted. And humanity listened. The journey had just begun.